This is question 9 from part 1 of the 2016 TSA paper. In this question we asked which option, if true, most weakens the argument. So let's look at the argument. First it says the health service needs more blood donors to meet demands on the blood bank. So it's just a factual statement about how much blood is needed. Then it says that most of us ignore the need, but we're only too glad to receive the blood of other donors in emergencies. So it's not judgmental, but this is a factual statement about what most people do, or the writer takes it as fact. Next it says, to boost the blood bank, transfusions should only be given to those who have indicated they are donors or agree to become donors. So it's saying only people who are or will become donors should get blood. And then lastly it gives some reasons for that. It says in this fairer system, so it's saying the system's fairer if only people who donate could get blood. Receiving and giving would become clear in everyone's mind, and the blood bank would get all the donations it needs. Okay, so now let's quickly have a look at the structure of the argument, figure out what the conclusion is, so we can find out what would most weaken it. Okay, so I've laid the argument out like this. These two statements are just taken as fact, so those are going to be reasons for the answer, for the conclusion. This statement has a should, it's about what should happen, so it looks like that's going to be the conclusion. And then if we look at this other statement, which isn't completely factual, this is just giving reasons for thinking this. So it's saying all the good things that would happen if we took this course of action, so it looks like this is being given as a reason and this is the conclusion. So now let's look at our options and see which will weaken the conclusion. So here's our 5 options, and as we go through we'll see whether they're relevant to reasons or to directly to the conclusion, and we'll see whether they strengthen, weaken or are neutral to that part of the argument. So let's look at A first of all. A says that some people are ineligible to give blood, so they can't give blood. And actually, that looks like it's directly relevant to the conclusion because it's giving a reason why we might not want to say that only people who donate blood should receive blood, because then people who can't give blood wouldn't be able to receive blood either, which doesn't seem like a good thing. So this is sort of a direct reason against the conclusion as opposed to any of these reasons in particular. So this is weakening the conclusion. But it could be we find something else that weakens the conclusion more, so let's go through the other options. B says that some blood types are in higher demand. Is that relevant to any part of the argument? Well, nothing's talking about blood types, and if a particular blood type is in higher demand, then A, it's likely that more blood donors will still be needed because the demand level is actually higher than normal, and B, this suggestion in the conclusion that only blood donors should be able to receive blood would still guarantee there are enough blood donors because the number of people donating blood of each type would be the same as the number of people receiving blood of that type. Okay, it gets more complicated because some types, what blood types you can accept aren't the same as what blood types you can donate to, but you can always accept and donate to people with the same blood type as you, so this would still work. So this is just neutral to the argument, it doesn't affect it. C says that most blood donors have had transfusions. Well, that's not relevant to people who are going to be receiving blood in the future. And the argument wants to guarantee that those people will become donors rather than vice versa. So this is just neutral. It's not really relevant. D says that blood donations are at an all-time low. Well, this is actually relevant to one of the reasons. If we compare it to sentence 1, that's saying that more donors are needed, and D saying that blood donations are at an all-time low, but actually that's strengthening that reason, rather than weakening it. So it would be strengthening the argument. So that's not going to be the answer. And then if we look at E, E says many people are wary of receiving blood due to possible infections. Well, that slightly weakens one of the reasons. if we compare it to 2, 2 says most people are happy to receive, and E's saying that some people aren't always happy to receive, but they might, it doesn't mention whether or not they'd be willing to donate. So this slightly weakens this reason, but the reason was only talking about what most people do. And E doesn't really completely undermine that, so it's only slightly weakening the argument. So we can see the only thing that directly weakens the conclusion is A, and so A is going to be our answer.